Hello, I'm DG-Ice, and this is Dark Patch Garbotoxin. You probably recognize Yvetal-Garbodor from Standard, but can you remember back to when Black and White had just came out? Darkrai was paired up with Dark Patch, and they were dominating Standard with the help of Smeargle and Junkarm. Just a great combination, so basically what I've done is jam them together. Um, Dark Patch has always worked well with Garbodor because it allows you to power up your Pokemon without using an ability, so that way you can turn off your opponent's abilities. The reason you absolutely have to play Garbodor is because of Pokemon like Pyroar and Suicune, that you won't be able to attack with your big EXs, but it also sometimes helps with shutting down their accelerators, like Emboar and Blastoise and Electric. While we're on Garbodor, I'd like to mention how Garbodor really works better offensively than defensively. Trying to stop your opponent from using abilities uh, with Garbodor is much harder than just preventing them while it's during your turn so you can attack through them. Like trying to stop an opponent from being able to use Electrics is harder to do than just turning off their Pyroar's ability each turn, because they can always use Startling Megaphone during their turn, but during your turn, they can't stop you from attaching Muscle Band or Float Stone and shutting down their abilities. On the same note, that's the exact same reason that Muscle Band is better than Eviolite or Hard Charm now, because dealing 20 damage, while there's some probably benefits to dealing damage over preventing it as well, um, the fact that you will always be able to attach the muscle band, deal 20 damage, and then maybe they could use Starling Megaphone, in comparison to you attach a hard charm and then they Starling Megaphone, then they attack you. So uh, in one situation you actually get some use out of your tool card, in the other situation you don't. Junk Arm is obviously super helpful in this deck, allowing you to use Dark Patch more than once. Um, and obviously it's always good for getting back other stuff too. But since Dark Patch is easier to start using but harder to use a bunch of times uh, than Dynamortar or any Pokemon ability, because you don't have to play much else to just activate a Dark Patch, but on the other hand, one Dark Patch only gets you one energy, where once you've got a Pokemon's ability running, you can usually get multiple energy off of that. That's why you gotta play Scramble Switch, because Scramble Switch will let you move around your energies, so that way you can either move all the energies to a healthy Pokemon, or something that you have to do a lot is put a ton of energies on Yvetal to get a one-hit KO, and that's really um, the limiting factor in this deck, is that it's tough to get a ton of energies on an Yvetal when they don't have any damage or energies. Like getting the 6 energies or whatever you need on an Yvetal to uh, one hit KO one of their Pokemon can be pretty rough. It's probably one of the easiest decks to start attacking in because of Dark Patch. You can usually get an Yvetal or Darkrai attacking on the first turn you can attack. But on the other hand, it's probably the hardest one to get a knockout with that Yvetal uh, when they don't have any energies on their Pokemon. You do get access to Darkrai's Night Spear, which is great because it allows you to put damage on uh, one of their bench Pokemon if you only need to deal 90 damage. Smeargle plays well in this deck. You usually attach a dark energy to give the Smeargle free retreat with your Darkrai. Then you retreat to your first attacker. And once that attacker gets knocked out, you put Smeargle back up front and use it. And then you can scramble switch in your next attacker and get the energy off of Smeargle. The other great part about Smeargle is that you need your dark Pokemon, your attackers, in the on the bench anyways to use Dark Patch. So putting Smeargle active helps you get enough resources to switch out, and it gives you something to do when you have to switch your attacker to the bench. I picked this game to comment on because it demonstrates the strengths and weaknesses of this deck. You got to see Darkrai using Night Spear to put some damage on that Genesect, allowing Yvetal to sweep it up without having to put an extra energy on there. And then we get to see how the deck can run out of resources. What happens when two decks are operating at their maximum potential is often that you have EX's swings where you set up an EX, knock out their EX, they reset up, knock out yours, and you go back and forth like that, having a slugging match until it comes down to whether or not you can set up that last EX to take their last two prize cards, or if they'll set up their EX first and take your last two prize cards. And that's where Yvetal has a problem, because it takes so many cards to set up, takes so many dark patches to fully power an Yvetal. And dark patches, this comes back to how dark patch is more efficient to set up for, like, say, a 2 energy Yvetal, but it's way less efficient to set up for like a 4 or 5 energy Yvetal than, say, let's just say Emboar, because Emboar takes like, Tepig plus a rare candy plus an Emboar plus the energies, but Yvetal takes like all the energies plus, all the dark patches, so it's like twice as many cards that you need to go through. And that said, you draw through your entire deck very fast. So the addition of Lysandre's trump card was huge for this deck, but it still takes a whole turn to use Lysandre's trump card, which can slow you down a lot. So it's not a perfect patch, but it's definitely a huge step for this deck. It definitely makes this deck a lot more viable than it used to be. So here you see the one special energy I play in the deck. By playing one, you limit the amount that your opponent can affect your game plan with things like Lost Remover. Because it's so easy to junk arm back Lost Remover, it's something you have to be very aware of. And the fact is, you can only play one special energy per turn, meaning it's not going to help you build up a huge board state to knock out someone by having a second special energy in your hand. And the other part is, in this deck, you just need so many basic energy for the dark patches anyways, that it just doesn't make sense to fill the deck with special energy. That said, the darkness energy might be wrong here, because double colorless will do an extra 10 damage, but on the other hand, the darkness energy does give free retreat to your Pokemon based off of Darkrai, and does give Darkrai an extra 10 damage, so those things might be relevant. overall, I feel like the key weakness to this deck is how hard of a time it has setting up to beat a fully healthy EX. All the other best decks can do it every single turn. They can do it consistently every single time they need to. And that's really how you win the races. All you gotta do is knock out 3 X's in 3 turns. And that's what it comes down to a lot of the time. There probably are ways this deck can be improved, such as if there were a good basic Pokemon to attack with, maybe just the regular Yvetal. Also, if it had better access to things like Lysandre. Although, I mean, being able to Jirachi for Lysandre is still pretty good. If there were more cards that helped it do easier damage, but honestly, I don't know how it's going to get better than Muscle Band. Anyways, this deck is ridiculously good, and pretty much would beat out anything that had been made, within that could have been made during the last 3 or 4 years, but decks are just going to keep getting better, so I'm a little worried about whether this one's going to be around or not, but still, really insane power deck. Just all the best cards. Darkrai, Garbodor, Yvetal, Muscle Band, Dark Patch, Smeargle, Scramble Switch. Just everything in this deck is insane.